Every so often, a new technology comes along and completely changes how we work. Right now, that technology is AI, moving faster than anything we've seen before. And along with it comes an intrusive thought you might have had yourself. Am I going to be out of a job soon? Well, the answer to that depends heavily on what you do. Some jobs are at much higher risk: translators, historians, and editors. These roles are mostly text based and relatively easy for AI models to replicate. At the other end of the scale are operators of heavy machinery, not because AI can't work out the steps, but because on a real job site, things change all the time. The ground shifts, the weather turns, there are people walking everywhere, and humans are simply still far better at reacting in the moment. So, where do we designers fit in here? Architects, landscape architects like myself, interior designers, should we be worried? For now, the answer to that question seems to be no. The truly creative, non routine, human centered fields like design sit quite low on the automation risk scale. In the US, for example, the odds of a landscape architect being automated in the next decade are under 20%. So if you're retiring in the next year, you can probably stop this video right here and sleep well tonight. But if you're still in the game, the pace at which AI is evolving means that this conversation is just getting started. And to explain why I'm not panicking, let me take you back to where my journey with technology began. I remember that for my graduation project, I used this amazing new tool called Lumion. And yes, I do mean Lumion version 1. I still have some of those videos on this channel, and while the graphics admittedly aged like milk, back then it really was cutting edge. I've always believed that you should learn from the past but look boldly towards the future. I think of it like climbing a staircase when only the steps behind you are visible. When you turn around, one thing clearly leads to the other. But looking forward, the next one is always a leap of faith. But as designers, taking those leaps is really part of the job, to test our ideas and always push our thinking forward. And so, over the years, I've worked my way through all the Lumion updates, 3ds Max with V-Ray, Unreal Engine, always using visualization to explore and experience the spaces before they're built. But the problem was always time. Going from idea to visual took hours at best and usually days and weeks. So when AI became even remotely useful, which for me was around early 2024, I just knew I had to try it for myself and see if it can speed up this feedback loop. And that same mindset has driven every big leap our profession has ever made. We've seen it time and time again. New tools come along, some people jump in, others hang back, and eventually the whole industry changes. There's a well known model in sociology called the innovation adoption life cycle. It's shown as a bell curve with innovators at one end, early adopters next, then a big majority in the middle, and laggards at the far end. Now, between the early adopters and the majority is a gap, which is rather dramatically called the chasm. Crossing the chasm is when a technology stops being a novelty and becomes a necessity. And I think that right now AI is standing right on that edge. But it's not the first time our profession has stood there, staring at the next big leap. If we look at recent design history, we can see two revolutions that completely reshaped the way we work, splitting the timeline into three eras. The first of them was the pencil and paper era. Thousands of years of drafting rooms filled with big tables, people sketching by hand. Then came CAD in the 80s and 90s, and slowly but surely, those drafting rooms started turning into computer labs. Now, it wasn't instant. Plenty of designers resisted, and Critics said CAD killed the artistry. But eventually, the speed and efficiency were just too good to be ignored. And CAD dominated for over 2 decades. But then, as projects became more complex, we needed another leap. Enter building information modeling, or BIM. It began gaining real traction in the early 2010s, enabling full 3D coordination between all the design disciplines. I first worked with it during my 2012 thesis, back when it still felt like a real novelty. And look, today it's indispensable for large complex projects, although adoption still does vary widely from one country to another. And before BIM has ever reached full maturity, now AI is stepping onto the stage. And not as a single tool, but as a whole new class of technologies already starting to reshape the way we work. One of the first AI tools to really catch my attention was Midjourney. At first, I thought it was just a fun novelty with very little place in serious design workflow. But the pace of improvement was just simply staggering. With each version, the output quality jumped until it just became impossible to ignore. I would say that as of today, AI fits into a designer's workflow in two areas. The first, and my favorite, is at the very beginning, in the design visioning stage. This is where tools like Midjourney really shine. Just after a short text prompt, it almost instantly generates a visual representation of your idea. It makes it really quick to explore different concepts, develop a design story, shape the visual language, but most importantly, imagine and really see those unforgettable moments in the user's journey, which will eventually become the anchors of your design. The second way is rapid visualization of actual design concepts. Tools built on Stable Diffusion can take a sketch or a massing model and produce polished visuals in just minutes, showing different material palettes, lighting conditions, or planting schemes without the usual hours of work. And for me, this really is the sweet spot. Human centered design amplified by technology. If it was up to me, I would probably just stop right there. But I have as much chance of stopping technological progress as I have of stopping a river with a chopstick. And that brings us to the question of what AI still cannot do. So if the river is still flowing, the real question is, where is it headed? Right now, AI provides the tools, but the architect holds the reins of the creative process. Now, the big question is, could that ever change? To answer that, we need to touch on what creativity really is. And that's a subject for a whole new video, of course, but let's just keep it simple for now. Most definitions would agree on this. Creativity is the ability to solve problems by finding unexpected connections between already existing ideas. And you know that the true creativity is just impossible to miss. It's that moment when you see a solution and think to yourself, wow, why didn't I think of that? Now, AI can produce results that might seem creative, but the process is fundamentally different. What it does, it analyzes large amounts of pre-existing information, it learns the statistical patterns, and then recombines them into something that just appears new. People, on the other hand, carry the benefit of lived experience. When we design a space, we can inhabit it in our mind before it exists. We know what it feels like to step into a cool stone courtyard after the midday heat, to hear the echo of footsteps in a high atrium, to catch the scent of flowers in the evening. That embodied sensory, that sense of place cannot be learned from raw data alone. And at the end of the day, we are designing for other people, and the product of our work sets the scene for human experience. It's difficult to imagine that this could ever be truly simulated. And if it could, would we want it to be? So, will designers become useless? I think the answer depends on how much we let AI shape our lives. Our work as designers isn't just about the spaces we create, it's about the impact they leave behind. A well designed space can change someone's mood, inspire a conversation, spark a memory, or even alter the course of someone's life. Even if AI could one day craft those moments, should we let it? We can choose to let AI amplify our creativity rather than replace it. My hope is that the future belongs to designers who lead the tools, not those who serve them. And if you're retiring soon, you are safe. But for the rest of us, the adventure is just beginning. I would like to thank you for watching, and I would really love to hear where you see AI fitting into your design process. Let's keep this conversation going because it is an important one.